my personal story of me living with racism from a youth to an adult, things that I deal with right now. And I don't tend to share these things with people because it's a bit embarrassing. Sometimes it's just something that I've been living with this my entire life. So I'm going to share this with you. This is the house that I grew up in. 1984. This was middle class for us. San Carlos, San Diego is where we had lived. Now the house wasn't this nice 36 years ago, but this was the home that I grew up in. Now as nice, excuse me, as this area looks, the neighborhood was deeply rooted in racism, and this is 1984. And as a child, these are the things that I remember growing up. I used to get beaten up every day walking to and from school based on the color of my skin. Just jumped by two or three boys. And I used to have to try to find alternate routes to get home to where I needed to be. I was chased by the KKK coming home from the rec center, riding my bike. They almost ran me over in their car, just riding my bike, about 12 years old. The white kids used to have this game that they would play in our neighborhood. So when a black kid had gone into a department store or one of the stores, they would call the cops and say, hey, there's a black person that went in there with a gun, or they stole something. And so now imagine as a 14-year-old kid walking out of a store, cops surrounding you, two cops, for a 14-year-old kid, two cops come, handcuffing you, throwing you against the wall. And as you have the kids that actually made the phone call laughing in the background, you have people kind of walking by and staring and whispering and looking. It was so humiliating. It was humiliating. That happened on a regular occurrence for me. Older now, I've been accused of breaking into my own home, taking out the trash, had moved to Carlsbad, had lived in a new place for a year, taking out the trash, and some woman had said, hey, can I help you? And I said, no, I'm okay, just taking out the trash. And she said, well, no, do you need some help? And I said, no, I'm fine. And she began to call the cops. I had to prove to her with a key and my driver's license that I actually lived in a home, that I'd lived there longer than she had. Why would she assume that? I've been accused of selling drugs, questioned on how I could afford the house, the neighborhood that I live in. People wondered if I was really Black, or you're not like other Black people. Why? Because I talk differently, dress differently, educated. I'm not quite sure, but what does that statement even mean? I've been ignored by people just walking down the street. I try to say hi. I don't look like a threatening person, but I get ignored. These are things that I face daily to this day. To this day. But I think the tipping point for me, which started me just going down this journey from begin with, is I was recently heading out to go to the store. And my wife came up and she says, Claude, I don't want you to leave. I said, what's wrong? You need me to stay home? Like, what's up? And she says, well, I don't think you're going to come back home. She says, I don't want you to be another statistic. And at that moment, it just sort of hit that I could leave, someone could have a bad day, something happens, who knows what. And just based on me being me, I might not be around anymore. And that is the fact of life that I have to live with.